Good evening, welcome to New Craven Park, Hull, for the Good Friday encounter between Hull Kingston Rovers and Keighley Cougars. An absolute army of supporters come across the M62 this evening from Keighley, a reputed 1,000 car convoy, and certainly we saw quite a number of those as we came along the motorway. The teams for this evening: Keighley, Andre Stoop at full-back, Andy Ayres, Nick Pinkney, Simon Irving and Neil Kenyon in the three quarters, Daryl Powell and Chris Robinson at half-back, Ian Gately, Jason Ramshaw, Shane Toupé, Darren Fleary, Gareth Cochran and Martin Wood in the forwards. On the bench for Keighley, Keith Dixon and Joe Burry. And for Hull Kingston Rovers, Gary Brown at full-back, Alan Charlesworth, Mike Bibby, Gary Atkins and David Plange in the three quarters, Mick Crane and Tim Lum at half-back, and Chris Harrison, Richard Chamberlain, Des Harrison, Chris Charles, Paul Fletcher, Andy Dalov in the forwards, Mike Fletcher and Paul Speckman on the bench, and the man in the middle tonight, showing the importance, or at least at one stage what the importance of tonight's fixture was all about. Possibly the number one referee in the league at the moment, Mr. John Conley from Wigan, and supported by his judges, Mr. Eccleston and Mr. Hyde. Well, the pitch here at Hull Kingston Rovers been heavily watered but still looking quite sandy and dry in the centre. And one thing noticeable about it, Darryl, since we were here last time, about 20 yards narrower.
Yes, John, if you look down you can actually see the 10-yard mark in from touch. It's moved in 5 or 6 yards at either side, so that's what you've taken off. It shouldn't stop Keighley playing football though. You know, you've got to play football on big pitches and little pitches alike. Keep the ball floating about. Let's have a good game.
Yeah, I think I said 20 yards. I did mean 10, of course. It's 5 on each side that it's come in to accommodate the speedway track. But also the in-goal areas, which were notoriously deep here at New Craven Park, reduced to the bare minimum, I would suggest. But it's Hull Kingston Rovers to get the game underway. It's Tim Lum, the scrum half, and that ball bouncing just inside the touchline. Andy Ayres, I think, probably anticipating it may well have gone out on the full, but nonetheless wisely left the ball alone, giving Keighley the head and feed at this scrum. And I think, Darryl, the interesting encounter is going to be at half-back tonight, isn't it?
Yes, John, you know, with Chris Robinson and Daryl Powell there, if they can make this side tick, which we hope they can, and Martin Wood linking like he did last week. Good break there, Martin, making them think round acting half-back like he did last Sunday. Should be an interesting game.
But there's the first error. Nick Pinkney coming on the dummy run. Darren Fleary not taking the ball cleanly. Just something that seems to be a character of Darren's game at the moment is the early error. It usually settles down, but at the moment it's Hull Kingston Rovers inside the Keighley 20-metre line area. 10 from there now as the prop forward Des Harrison is brought to ground. The ball moving out to the right-hand side to Chris Harrison. But it's only 5 metres from that Keighley line now as Rovers spread the ball. Well, slowly, one too many there, that's for sure. It certainly looked as though they had the extra numbers out here, but the pass out from the scrum half, Tim Lum, certainly not of the best quality, and forcing the knock on and giving Keighley the opportunity to launch from here. Robinson having to come round the short side as he saw the advancing Rovers defence rapidly coming up the centre of the field. And Ramshaw now, Fleary taking the ball cleanly this time. Well tackled there though by Mike Bibby. Andy Ayres coming into the middle, into the dust really. And there's the first penalty of the game to Keighley for not releasing in the tackle. Referee Connolly there just indicating that when the tackle's made you must roll away, with the rolling motion of the hand being the signal given. Martin Smith putting the ball into touch on that far side. Martin Smith, of course, doing the kicking out of the hands instead of the usual Chris Robinson. Chris obviously Martin Wood, I beg your pardon. Chris Robinson normally doing it, but of course protecting that injury that he's just had treated. Onto the groin is Cochrane now. Looking to get the ball out to Pinckney. If only that ball could have been released. Pinckney was in the clear, but it's Robinson now on to Powell in the centre. Martin Wood outside to Irvine. Irvine half in the gap, but the numbers being compressed on the far side. It looked as though Rover's hand might have got to that ball. And I think the way that ball hung in the air, you can see that there's certainly a wind coming off the Humber and blowing right to left as we look. Keighley pulled a penalty there for presumably a high tackle. Looks like fullback Gary Brown. Tim Lum then taking the penalty safely into touch on the far side, some 25 metres from the halfway line. Harrison. Missing out Lum this time and finding the supporting second row there, Chris Charles, but the Keighley line not having got back to the 10, and referee Connolly playing the advantage and then penalising Keighley for those who were doing the tackling not having retired. So that's pressure on Keighley now, 30 metres out. Centre Gary Atkins brought down 10 in from touch on the far side of the ground where a tremendous number of Keighley fans are gathered, and again the long pass looking to expose this flank of Keighley. Charlesworth again suffering from the lack of width in the field, not being able to take that ball and get away. So it's a Keighley head and scrum play, just that little bit scrappy in the opening 5 minutes, Darrell.
Yeah, quite scrappy, John. I think that's the 5th scrum we've had. I think we've had, is it 2 or 3 penalties as well. You know, the game hasn't flowed, it hasn't started yet. Plenty of time yet, hopefully it settles down like it is doing, hopefully.
Simon Irvine certainly getting the treatment round the head there, a slap on the face and a crack around the ear by Chris Harrison. Ian Gately, the Keighley number 8 this time, making his way to the halfway line, but brought down by the other Harrison, Des. Martin Wood onto Pinckney, Pinckney half through the gap. And Ramshaw onto Robinson. Robinson stepping back inside and still stepping, but just a step too far there as one of the players, the standoff Crane, who he'd already beaten, managed to come back and tackle back, but that kick through there, too much weight on it, so it's a tap 20 for Hull Kingston Rovers. Chamberlain, Charlesworth rather. Second row Charles meeting up with the 2 Keighley tacklers there, and the Keighley voice is certainly rising round this arena. Well, certainly the cycle accessory shops have done a good roaring trade with these air horns this last week. Andre Stoop reaching backwards to take that ball and doing so to perfection as he tries to get back upfield, but Paul Fletcher deciding that that's as far as he's going, but just hanging on that little bit too long for the referee's liking, and in fact it looks as though the warning's going to be issued. Chris Harrison being called out already. It's only 7 minutes old is the game, and already Hull Kingston Rovers warned about laying on and interference in the tackle. I think, Darrell, whilst obviously the laws of the game have got to be invoked, we could do with a little less of Mr. Connolly's whistle, couldn't we?
Well, having said that, John, it has been correct every time, you know. I mean, he's got to enforce the rules and get these players. These players should know what he's doing. He knows he's going to be keen on way up. There again, he didn't regain his feet before he played the ball. They know that they're keen on these sort of things just now. We've got to do it correctly. So to get off when we tackle, we've got to get up when we tackle.
Well, yes, I did say we could do with hearing less of his whistle, but of course it's the players that are making the infringements that are causing the whistle to be blown. It's called whether it's spoiling tactics by one side or the other, or just sheer bad discipline, is up to each person to decide for themselves. As Paul Fletcher, 15 metres and still walking to the 10-metre line for Hulkingston. The switch looked to be on, in fact was executed there. Chris Charles taking the ball to within 5 metres of the Keighley line. Lum misses out the player. Des Harrison though standing still and breaking down that Hulkingston Rovers movement temporarily, that is, as Tim Lum moves the ball out to the far side again. Looked as though there were numbers, but Gary Atkins rapidly shut down as David Plange goes and feeds the ball onto Lum. Andre Stoop bobbying tremendously well in that in-goal area. The ball taking a deflection off a Keighley defender as it came through. Simon Irvine now. Ramshaw onto Pinkney. Pinkney certainly been well marked at the moment. Fleary looking for a way through the centre of the Rovers defence as Ramshaw now gets Robinson up the centre of the park, but Robinson grinding to a halt 5 metres from the halfway line, and still we're looking for breaking into Hulkingston's territory. The last tackle called, Martin Wood puts the kick forward. So to put that ball quite low down, and Martin Wood doing the chasing and doing the tackling as well. Charlesworth tackled almost before he got his feet going. Inside there, into the centre of the park for one of the Hulkingston props. It's going to be Harris, and it just depends which one. It isn't, it's neither, it's Chris Charles. Paul Fletcher, 20 metres from the halfway line. Certainly the play of the ball being executed quite quickly by Hulkingston Rovers. And back for the kick as Robinson does the chasing onto the kicker. Almost got there, but that kick finding touch. Excellent goal kick, but do remember that Hulkingston Rovers have got quite a strong wind behind them. It doesn't appear so up here, but when the ball goes up in the air, it's quite obvious that the wind is coming strongly off the Humber and at the backs. Scrum forms the goodness knows how many scrums. It's probably as many minutes as we've played, which is 10. Certainly going along that way anyway. Martin Wood. Ramshaw finds Fleary. Fleary driving in. And 3 Rovers defenders there. A prop, a hooker and a second rowers. Gareth Cochrane. Well, certainly the second tackler and the same man again there, Mike Bibby. And of course Gareth Cochrane is a Hulkingston, did come from this area. I'm not sure it's Hulkingston or Hull, but is certainly a Hull lad, as of course is Nick Pinkney, and these people over here who are closely related to Fish, I'm told. They do have other names which are not very complimentary, but they're certainly out to catch these two lads, that's for sure. Tupai having to take that ball up on his own. All the Rovers defenders had to do there was tackling, because there was nobody at all for him to have even considered offloading to. Robinson finds Gately this time. Offload back to Robinson. Robinson gets the ball out to Ayres on the wing. Ayres is step inside, still staying inside that field of play, doing remarkably well. No, that's a mistake, Darryl, surely.
Yeah, once the player's tackled, he's allowed to go into touch to regain his feet. The tackle was completed there. He was on the deck. You only got to think to yourself, had he passed, the referee would have penalised him for being tackled. He was on the deck, the tackle completed, and then he went into touch after the tackle. wrong decision by the touch judge.
Mr. Connolly firmly pointing the finger at the touch judge there and saying that it was his signal that caused it, and certainly clearly it was. But, from being in a very, very strong attacking position, Keighley now are having to defend, albeit in the Hull Kingston Rovers half of the field. The Cougar cry goes up again as Keighley are called upon to defend. About 10 or 11 metres from the halfway line, back again for the kick of Tim Lum, and again a towering kick downfield, and Andre Stoop again in A1 position, but all those Hull Kingston Rovers chasers well downtown when that ball was kicked. Irvin 10 metres in from the far touchline side. Tupai working his way to the halfway line. Scoreline still 0-0 as Ian Gately now switches back with Robinson. Robinson to Cochrane, and Cochrane again getting the treatment. I wonder what he said that's upset Mike Bibby, but I don't really know, but he certainly must have said something to it sometime in his life. As Martin Wood almost through that gap, looking to offload, and Robinson again puts the low kick in into the wind. Oh, the full-back Gary Brown certainly in 3 or 4 minds there as to what to do, but doing well nonetheless to run away to the 20-metre line before actually being put to the ground. Charlesworth just breaking through, and Lum gets the ball inside to number 8 Chris Harrison. And certainly referee Connolly taking a very, very good 10 metres at the play of the ball as Rovers offloading the tackle there. They had the numbers outside, they almost had them up the centre of the field. It was only a last-ditch tackle, and Robinson penalised again for questioning Mr. Connolly's decision. So we'll never really find out what the original decision was for, but presumably for stealing the ball. Des Charlesworth then. Lum inside there to standoff Crane. Crane gives the dummy, but takes the ball himself. And again, Rovers trying to move the short side, but bringing it back into the centre of the field. The field that's obviously seen a tremendous amount of wear through the season. Lum switches back inside to hooker Chamberlain, and Chamberlain drops the ball. Just a bit too clever for Chamberlain, that Darrell.
Yeah, half asleep there, John. Yeah, been better off hanging on to it.
15 metres from the Cougars line then as Robinson feeds the scrum, gets it out there to Darrell Powell. Kenyon going on his own from that scrum. Ramshaw delaying the pass, eventually getting away to Martin Wood, but Martin Wood with little or no room to work in at all there. Cochrane 5 metres in from the touchline side. Ramshaw on to Gately. Gately driving through. Mike Bibby had a look there and decided he wasn't going to crack him though. He just looked a bit too big as Robinson puts the ball through now. Well, whilst the field looks to have been watered down the centre, Darrell, it's very, very dry on the outside, as that kick actually showed, didn't it?
Yeah, that second kick that's sat up on Begg, it bounces off of the way. If they let it bounce, you know, Andre Stoop will be watching this, because okay, I'll kick second half.
Just inside that Hull Kingston Rovers half as Plange, right, 20 metre rather, as Plange makes 10 metres away. Fleary doing the tackling, Martin Wood helping with Shane Tupai. But Rovers forwards certainly are taking some putting down. And the play switch back outside, and Mike Bibby tackled on the halfway line. Des Harrison 5 metres inside the Keighley half this time, and it's Lum. That ball's not going to go dead, is it? It does just. Certainly wouldn't have gone dead in the old days of the 15-metre in-goal areas here, which reminiscent of Twickenham by the very size of them. Tupai, Ramshaw, Ian Gately taking the ball in, looking for the support. The support's not there though. Ramshaw certainly looked as though he might have been impeded. Nick Pinkney knows. Ooh, whoa. Darryl Powell gets the ball infield to Martin Wood. Martin Wood spinning as he tries to go through the gap. And it's Robinson. Puts the ball through, up in the air, the chip. It's Chamberlain that takes it, it's Ayres that does the tackling. Beg your pardon, it's Charlesworth. Charlesworth's the winger, Chamberlain's the hooker. Harrison. Almost halfway through the first half, the scoreline still locked as we started, 0-0. And Rovers keeping the ball alive, coming upfield. The Bury though, Bibby rather tackled just short of the halfway line. Chamberlain into Lum. Crane. I beg your pardon, it's Gary Atkins. That's Crane. And this is Andre Stoop. Certainly Hulkinson Rovers have stopped laying on in the tackle after the warning was issued, which Dallin remarking on my shoulder shows that they can do it if they want to, so why not do it straight away? Robinson looks for the supporting Cochrane, gets it to Cochrane. Cochrane offloads to Pinkney, but Pinkney well marshalled by Bibby and the wingman Charles. But there's a hole through the middle layer. Jason Ramshaw gets the ball back to Powell. The original break provided by Darryl Powell. Ramshaw now, it's the last tackle. Keighley have got the numbers. They've got a load of numbers, but it looked as though that might have been crossing. Robinson still going. Still keeping the ball alive, but it looked definitely like there was a shepherd there, Darryl, by Keighley.
Certainly was, John. Yeah, Keighley were very lucky to get away with that. That was a penalty. Give one away now.
Well, Chris Robinson giving the penalty away there, but I think in fairness the Hulkinson Rovers man was trying to pinch 2 or 3 yards and Robinson was just pulling him back. It's illegal to pull him back, but it's also illegal to pinch yards as well. It's almost like it's the retaliator that gets penalised for a foul. Still managing to keep this ball alive as Lum gets the ball to Fletcher. Fletcher looking for the gap. There's a gap provided. Chamberlain back to Crane. Crane skipping through, but brought to ground there by Darryl Powell, 35 metres from his own line. Lum gets to the Keighley 20. And it's Chamberlain at acting half-back. On to Crane. Crane goes for the kick for the corner, but that's just too slow, just too strong, but only just too strong. Obviously aiming, Darryl, for the Bradford Northern-like type corners on the banking of the speedway track.
Yeah, very rough ground there, John, you know, in these corners. Certainly the two at that end, the ball could go anywhere if it's rolled on the floor like that. Him come back in field. That's just what they're playing for.
Meanwhile, Jason Ramshaw back to the halfway line. Robinson, Darren Fleary. Keighley testing this Hulkinson Rovers defence with some very, very crafty probes as Simon Irving puts the ball through. The chase is on. And that looked as though it may well have been a knock on by the Rovers. Manny certainly did not have control of that ball in anybody's estimation. He was sitting on the damn thing. And the touch judge at this side, who made the blatant error with the thing in the corner earlier, seems to have his sunglasses on. Very dark ones at that on that occasion. Chamberlain looking to expose a gap in the Keighley defence there, which was there for just a slight minute. The last tackle called right on the centre spot, and the kick from Lum, looking to find the gap between the fullback and the wingman. It does just that, but it's not going to go down. Oh dearie me, all the time in the world Andre Stoop, and he goes and knocks on in his own in-goal area. Wowee. That's just what his forwards want. They've worked hard to get away from defence, they've worked hard to take play upfield, and as soon as the ball comes back, where do they find themselves? Underneath their own post and defending once more. Martin Wood getting that ball low, and well taken there by the Rovers' loose forward Andy Dearlove. Charles just inside the Keighley 20. Chamberlain at acting halfback, into Chris Harrison, back to Des Harrison, and back to the same spot from the point where the last play the ball took place. So Chamberlain has another go. Into Paul Harrison, Chris Harrison rather again. This time the number 8 driving forward. Chamberlain out to Lum. Lum gets the ball out there too. I think it's Dearlove on the far side. No, it isn't. This is Lum once more, again going for the short kick through. Chris Robinson taking the tackle and putting his body on the line as he did so. And somebody's back being put on the line there as the knees from Charles coming in right into the small of the back of the Keighley defender. Ramshaw to Gately. Gately bumping down, but the Rovers loose forward Dearlove hanging on to the legs. And the last tackle call still 20 metres from the halfway line. Robinson again, this time it's a high ball to the far touchline side. Fullback Brown taking the ball well on that occasion and almost getting away through Neil Kenyon. Kenyon just stood off him a little bit there, and certainly of the two sides, Hull Kingston Rovers seem to be looking the more dangerous at the moment, but the Keighley defence is holding firm as the penetrating runs do come, and this is the man who's marshalling everything. Scrum half Tim Lum, and Keighley just seemingly to be standing off him a little bit, albeit when you're standing behind 3 or 4 forwards it's hardly surprising. Well taken by Andre Stoop, in spite of Tim Lum pushing Martin Wood out of the way as he tried to go back for the ball. Andy Ayres taking some pressure off his forwards, doing the driving out there for Keith. There's Ramshaw now, Martin Wood. "15 metres from the halfway line. Ian Gately taking that ball in once more. Got through a tremendous amount of tackling and running in this first half as Gately, as we've come to expect. Shane Tupai tackled on the halfway line as the last tackle called. Well, and that tackle going to anybody, allowing the ball to go into touch, but it's a handover. The ball obviously going to intended for Robinson for the kick, but going well behind him. That's Harrison now, tackled by Tupai and Cochrane. Crane on to Lum. Lum switches the ball back inside to second rower Fletcher. And Chamberlain. Cleanest man on the field there. He's been out on the far side as David Plange for most of the game, not being involved. The colour of the shirt showing that. Lum now goes for the kick through once more. And who does he find on the line? Andre Stoop. Plange just having a bit of a word with Stoop. Andre obviously told him to go home and not be silly. And it's Ramshaw on his own from the acting half-back position, gets to the halfway line but tackled Robinson. Powell looked to dummy inside but well met there by those Rovers defenders. Back to the referee. All the Keighley side stopped expecting the knock-on to be called. It's left to Simon Irving to pump the ball down towards that Rovers try line, and full back having another go at getting up and running, but brought down eventually by Fleary. Looked to be a clash of three heads there bouncing around in that tackle. And Chamberlain inside to Harrison of the Desmond variety. Chamberlain back to Lum. Lum gets the ball out, misses one player out, gets it out to second rower Fletcher on the far side. He too tackled on the halfway line. Chamberlain this time going on his own, gets Plange up the outside. That ball going loose on a nice pick up and return pass to Andre Stoop by Robinson. Good thinking by the Keighley scrum half there. And it's Kenyon on the wrong wing, coming over here for a bit of change of variety of playing area, no doubt, as Gately takes the ball through the centre, offloads to Ramshaw. Robinson steps inside, but stepped away really from the tacklers. It looks as though Daryl Powell's, Ian Gately's had a crack off the ball. Robinson knocked that ball backwards, the touch judge giving no indication at all to the referee, who looked across for assistance. Martin Wood half away once more, the half break's coming, and that striking the Hull Kingston player. Referee says it's the last one, it struck him, he didn't go for it. So Robinson puts the ball high in the air to the fullback takes that, oh! Well, he did take it, but only just, and almost got taken over his line in the process. A good breakaway there, 10 metres from that try line by the Rovers defender. Almost ducking underneath the tackle. The referees look to the touch judge again at the far side. He said that it went backwards, so Lum still keeps play going for Hull Kingston. Big hit there by Ian Gately, and it looks as though Hull Kingston Rovers have already put two substitutes on. There's one of them in picture now doing the tackling. It's Des Harrison and Mick Crane who have come off. It's Mike Fletcher and Paul Speckman have come on. That's Speckman there with the 15 shirt on, and Martin Wood up the centre of the field. Certainly these lights at Hull Kingston Rovers, not of the best quality. Tremendous number of dark areas on this field. Robinson stepping back inside and avoiding the tackler. Gately look to offload, gets it out to Cochrane, but Cochrane goes straight into the trio of Hull Kingston Rovers defenders who have just released Ian Gately. And Robinson again puts the ball forward. Fullback Brown gathers and runs straight into the arms of Daryl Powell and Shane Tupai. Just a little knock on, the touch judge at the far side indicating to Mr. Connolly that the knock on had occurred. I think Darrell, the touch judge at our side of the field has decided that he's not going to say anything at all after that bad decision he made early doors.
Might as well, John, yeah. Could be right there.
Certainly had the opportunity of assisting Mr. Conley on a couple of occasions, has declined to do so. Simon Irvine then. 30 metres out from the Rovers line. It's still 0-0 as Powell gets the ball out with 8 minutes. Martin Wood still going. Martin Wood's going for the try line. Martin Wood's still going. He gets the line down and Mr. Conley gives the try. It was an arm stretch out there by Martin Wood. It hit the whitewash on it looked to from our viewpoint. A tremendous try there by Martin Wood. This is the confidence, Dal, that game last week has given him, isn't it?
Certainly is, Johnny. An excellent game last week. Just continued on from there. He's tried time and again, stepping them out, you know, having a go, taking them on. It's what we want him to do. Then offload. There, he took them on, looked to offload. Nobody came. He just went again. Excellent try.
And referee Connolly just having a word with David Plange, who was questioning the decision, and I think Mr. Connolly is now telling the Keighley. I'm not sure he's wanting to speak to somebody. I thought for a minute actually, Darrell, he was telling the Keighley water carriers that he's not going to have more than 2 on the field, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there.
Yeah, well, clubs do it if they get away with it, John. Like you say, he's going down. One of the water carriers is going down towards the kicker. But he's having a word with Mr. Andre Stoop. I don't know what happened. I missed it myself. He's had a word with Hull Kingston lads just after he awarded the try. I think it was on the intervention of touch judge, but I ain't sure.
Well, we'll never know that, but certainly he did have a word with David Plange, and he's just had a word with Andre Stoop as well. Martin Wood then looking to convert his own try.
What Keighley having to do now, John, is relax. I mean, there's only a minute or 2 before half time now. Got to at least stay 6-0 up. You know, no going to sleep now. Keep wide awake till half time. It's a good time to score, but you can't afford to relax.
I'm certain that's not what they're going to do. I'm sure they're not going to relax. I've got 5 minutes on my watch to the break. Maybe a little bit of stoppage time, not too much. In fact, I don't even recall Mr. Connolly holding the arms up to stop the watch. 6 points to 0 then with that Martin Wood try. Superb try, equally well converted by the same person. And Lum putting the ball high. Robinson coming out from the try line to take it, gives it to Fleary. Andy Ayres now being driven back towards his own 20-metre line, and certainly Mr. Connolly being very, very generous with the 10s at the play the ball, making for an open game. Gately driving in, getting in almost into top gear and overdrive before he hit those Hull Kingston defenders. Ramshaw switches inside, but Cochrane decides to come back out, but loses his footing on the hard and dusty surface. Robinson again testing the full-back Brown. Brown running across field into the centre of the field, tackled by Powell and Fleary, 30 metres out from his own line. 6 points to 0, the Cougars in the lead. And Chamberlain infield there to Chris Harrison, but tackled to the ground is Harrison, 8 metres from the halfway line. Chamberlain outside there too. I think it's loose forward Dalov. and Speckman looking to offload, but the support just wasn't there for him, as Lum now forced to kick upfield. The ball catching the sand there, the puff of sand lifting as it hit the ground, as the ball hit the ground, but certainly didn't impede the ball going into touch. Eventually the scrum will settle. Mr. Conley for the second time not happy with it, pushing it back onto that 10-metre line, and Robinson gets the ball out of the back of the scrum. Kenyon just hesitating there as he saw those Rovers defenders coming at him, and Simon Irving through that gap, through the second gap. Still going is Irving towards Kenyon in as inside, Ramshaw on the outside, and a good break there by Irving. Nick Pinkney in support now. Could well have done with Pinkney in support a few seconds earlier, but he wasn't there, and interference there by the Hull Kingston player in the defensive mode. But Keighley stacking themselves on this side and stacking themselves so tight there, with almost 6 or 7 between the 10-metre line and the touch line. Ayres infield to Robinson, a long ball out to Powell. Powell went to give it to Gately, but Gately not there. It's Shane Tupai this time. Fleary turning and spinning as the last tackle called. Are we looking for a single point here? Not at the moment, as Robinson gets the ball out to Cochrane. Cochrane dragged back by the shirt collar. And so last tackle, the ball in touch, a turnover on that 10-metre line, 10 in from touch and 10 out from the Rovers try line. Into the last 30 seconds of the 40 allocated for the first half. Just the Martin Wood try and conversion separating these two sides. And Fletcher, Mike Fletcher that is. Tremendous servant this player's been to the Hull Kingston Rovers club over the years. Ball in field. Oh, just getting in each other's way there. Speckman having to go back in field as Gary Atkins now tackled 10 metres from the halfway line as the half-time hooter goes. A couple of the Keighley players already in the dressing room, it would seem, as they make their way back there for the half-time break. A good game this first half, Gal. It's been a good containing game really by Keighley, hasn't it? They've been under a lot of pressure at time, and the defence has stood firm, and they've taken their opportunities when they came. Yeah,
they have, John. I think they've had a few more opportunities than OKR. I like to have seen a few more points on the board, 10, 12-0 possibly. But they'll have to set up for 6. They've got to come out and start the second half, hold them early on, and then start attacking again, and hopefully break this defence down.
The positive thing though is that Keighley are in the lead. They're in the lead by 6 points to 0 here at New Craven Park as the half-time break starts. Two teams rather taking the players back on the field amidst what has almost been turned into a car park during the half-time break. Certainly the proud owner of a new car just winning that half-time draw, taking it away. But it's back to business for these two teams, Hull KR and Keighley. 40 minutes to go to decide the destiny of the 2 league points. Keighley, of course, desperately need to take these 2 league points away from Craven Park tonight. They're currently leading by 6 points to 0. Martin Wood, the scorer of those 6 points, gets the game underway. Interesting to see in this second half whether indeed the wind is in fact still blowing from the river end. We don't feel too much, thank goodness, up here of the wind. And certainly the the quality of these lights here don't make identification of players who are unknown to us very, very easy. So maybe one or two mistakes going out on both sides in identification. Plange looking to get the ball, but doesn't get it. 10 metres from the halfway, and it's Chamberlain back to Lum. Lum did the kicking in the first half, he's doing it in the second half. Had a look to see where the Keighley defence was. It's Neil Kenyon who gets the ball and really doesn't really get at all anywhere. He just stood and looked instead of taking on the defence. Andre Stoop tackled there by Mike Fletcher right in front of his own post. 2 tackles used by Keighley as the only 10 metres gained, and that ball off there to Martin Wood from Jason Ramshaw, certainly of poor quality to say the least. Foregone as Keighley still struggling to get a lot of progress upfield. The last one called, and still 20 metres from that halfway line as Robinson's going to have to put the kick in, and I think that tells you that the wind is still blowing right to left, and certainly the Hull KR fullback Gary Brown, by his very position on the field, also would indicate that there is a wind blowing up the field. So Hull Kingston Rovers coming forward. Keighley not really had the ball other than from that defensive position, almost on their own try line as Crane, Plange rather. 5 looking like a 6. And only the weight of the tackle there and the insecurity of the ball in the hands in the first place preventing Hull KR breaking through. It looked just for a minute as though they might have breached the Keighley defence on the far side. As it was, Keighley were rescued by the fact that the player didn't hang on to the ball. Andy Ayres running in at those Hull Kingston defenders. Martin Wood on to Powell. Powell tackled though some 17 or 18 metres from the halfway line. Gately now running with some commitment at that Rovers defence. Robinson searching for Fleary and finding him. So the second rower brought down on the halfway line as Ramshaw gets to Robinson, on to Cochrane. Cochrane in, almost 10 inside the Rovers half of the field, and again it's Robinson, this time with the kick, looking for the touchline on this side of the field, but it's not going to go to touch, isn't that one? Brown this time will have to run it out. Oh, and my words, did he run well? Oh, is he running well? Where on earth was that Keighley defence? Where, oh where, Darrell, was that Keighley defence there?
All asleep, Johnny. Ran across front of everybody under his own post. What you say he shouldn't do. He's run across his own post, found a gap up the middle and just kept going.
Plange with a forward pass, definitely a forward pass there to I think Mike Fletcher. It wasn't, it was a second row, but it doesn't matter, it's Rovers on the attack on the far side of the field, just inside the Keighley 20. This action has gone from end to end and we've still only had 4 tackles. The dummy offered and Powell not taking it, doing the tackling, and still we've not, Mr. Conley's still not indicated the last tackle, or is that a half-hearted indication? I don't think so. Mike Fletcher tackled in possession but offloads. Harrison gets the ball in field. It's Dalove now cutting his way through, finds the gap in the centre of the field. Did he look to the right? I'd like to count these tackles because this is still only number 5. And Rovers have got the numbers, and Keighley almost had the problem. I'd like to count those tackles though, Darrell, because that went right from the Kingston Rovers' own try line when Brown ran out to the halfway, and still we had 3 tackles almost under the Keighley post.
Yeah, seemed to be a lot in there, John. Let's say, could do with a counter on them.
Old Kingston Rovers fullback Brown being led off the field and going straight to the dressing rooms from a knock he obviously got after that run out. Nice inside ball there to Martin Wood from Powell, but the loose forward caught some 10 metres from the halfway line. Ramshaw now, Keighley as ever in support. Nice ball out there to Ayres on the wing. Ayres gets away, going up the touchline side, but steps into touch and onto the speedway track. He did have Nick Pinkney on his inside, but there was 2 Rovers defenders preventing that ball coming in field. Rovers then coming forward. Big tackle there by Cochrane on the number 11, Chris Charles, who just not too happy with it, still eyeing up Gareth Cochrane from a distance. And Rovers, Gary Atkins there looking for the gap, offering the ball all the time, and certainly the whole side are looking at every opportunity to offload the ball. Lum with the kick through on the last tackle. Kenyon allowing the ball to go into touch 10 from the try line. Well, Robinson feeds the scrum facing his own post. Kenyon better run away there from that play by Neil Kenyon as Robinson gets the ball into Powell. Powell steps out of the first tackle but goes to ground in a cloud of dust about 30 metres out. Simon Irving now gets the ball infield to Ramshaw. Ramshaw on to Powell. Robinson to Cochrane. Cochrane almost loses his shirt and it's pulled over the top of his head. And Kenyon, a pass to nowhere, but the big fella gets down and picks it up. A nice ball out to Martin Wood, onto Stoop on the far side, but the narrowness of the field preventing Keighley from, well, I would have thought perhaps at half-time it would have been brought to the attention, Dell, because obviously the way the game plan seems to have been is use the expansive wide ball, but they can't do it, can they?
No, John, they're getting caught in touch regular way now. Going out wide and coming back into them. OKR's just waiting for the ball down the middle. Looks to be the ball they're going to use.
And certainly that looks to be the strong area of the whole Kingston Rovers defence as well, down the centre of the park, so we could still have a very, very tight game as far as the scoreline's concerned at the end of the 80 minutes. And it's Rovers who've been doing the majority of the attacking in this half. The Humber end of the ground is the end where we've seen most of the action, and that's the end that Keighley are defending. Ball out there to Fletcher, well read there by Simon Irving doing the tackling on Fletcher, and the drop goal short, but well missed.
OKR's closing Keighley down round the play of the ball. They're playing 2 markers and they're moving off the mark very sharp and catching Keighley. They're making Keighley's minds up for him.
Well, certainly both markers seem to be doing the chasing, that's for sure. One left, one right, and that way they're doing the tackling. Oh, Ramshaw going down the centre that time. Nice ball again to Martin Wood. Well tackled back by Old Kingston Rovers, but this is better from Keighley as Robinson almost looked as though he'd taken the wrong option there. Martin Wood once more, he's only got the one player outside him. Gets taken to ground and looks as though he's probably lost the ball in the process. Just a little knock on. In fact, it looks to me as though perhaps Martin Wood hit the ground with his head, hence the reason for losing the ball out of his hands, Dell.
Yeah, it looks that way, John. Mr. Connolly's indicating a head injury, stopping the clock, so you would think it's reasonably serious.
Recovered then, the magic sponge has done its duty, and the scrum forms just outside that Hulkinson Rovers 20. The kick and the chase coming here, seeing that the full-back was in fact in the line, as you would probably expect, but it's the full-back that does the tackling and not allowed to get away. Neil Kenyon weaving his way through. Certainly good thinking by Rovers there, trying to catch Keighley unawares, but Andre Stokes' defence was such that he managed to get the ball, being the extra man in that line of Keighley. Gately hitting the defensive line and spinning as he does so. Ramshaw now acting half-back. Robinson. Fleary. Well, the ball obviously must have been stolen there. There's no way that you can come away with a ball like that, Daryl.
No, and the touch judge we played all about in the first half actually indicated that to Mr. Connolly.
Well, going for goal here, I would imagine, yes indeed. It's if there's 2 points here, it means that Hulkinson Rovers have got to score twice. And rather interestingly, Daryl, it's Martin Wood who's doing the kicking and not Simon Irving.
Yeah, I thought Simon had been kicking today. I mean, Martin had his kicking boots on last week when Simon was out, but now he's back. I thought he'd have kept on going. Unless he's the same as Robinson and just resting his leg a little bit, don't want to overstretch himself.
Somebody out there will no doubt know the answer to that. Not least of all the man with the responsibility of kicking this penalty. It's a good 30 metres out in a straight line. Well, in fact, it's exactly 30 metres out in a straight line. Probably about 40 with the angle. Martin Wood strides up to the ball, gives it plenty of air. Oh, and just listen to the crowd. Tremendous goal conversion there. Tremendous conversion of that penalty.
That'll stop Hull KR going for drop goals now. They went for the earlier one, knowing that if they got the 1 point, they're trying to go, put them back in front. Now the 1 point's no good. They need to score something else as well.
That's really, in fact, probably only the second or third time in 13 minutes of this second half that Keighley have really been anywhere near the Hulkinson Rovers line, and that was 30 metres away where the penalty was kicked from. Just shows the amount of possession that Hulkinson Rovers have had. Andre Stoop there looking to outfox the Rovers defence, and look at the moving off the mark there as that ball was played. Very, very quick, almost so quick that it could be considered to have been before the ball was played. But Gately breaking into the Rovers half of the field. Ramshaw acting half back, goes out to the right but switches back inside to Martin Wood once more. Oh, what a game this loose forward of Keighley's having. He's there in the thick of everything, creating, and I think a lot of it has got to be done with that, down to the quality of that man wearing the number 6 shirt, who's taken a lot of weight off Martin Wood's shoulders. "30 metres out then as Rovers look to come forward. Still looking to offload in the tackle as well there. Two or 3 metres from the halfway line. Darryl Powell in the meantime is injured in back play. Both physios on the field with him. Hulkinson Rovers physio, I think, leaving him, no going back again. Meantime, Keighley conceded that penalty. It's now the tap restart, or the tap penalty will go from 30 metres out for Rovers. And the Hull player injured there. 20 metres now from the Keighley line. Hull Kingston Rovers still coming forward. The switch on there. Again, the switch by Mike Fletcher, just that little bit too clever for the man on the end of the ball, or at the end of the would-be pass. Daryl Powell limping his way back into defence. Obviously patched up, Daryl.
Yeah, I hope he's all right, John, because like you were saying, we've got a blood-bin sub now of Hull Kingston Rovers. Like you were saying, Daryl Powell being on, he's taking a lot of weight off Martin Wood. You know, Martin didn't have to do it all now, he's letting him run free, and it's showing the benefit of it.
So Des Harrison coming on to replace the Hull Kingston player who's gone straight into the dressing rooms to have an injury treated, a blood bin injury. Robinson waiting to feed this scrum, but Rovers wheeling it. Well, somebody's wheeling it anyway. I'm not sure it's the Hull blind side or the Keighley open side. Martin Wood doing the juggling act there, and certainly again Rovers well aware of this breaking away from the scrum by the loose forward who goes short. Looked like it might have been the shirt collar, and both markers going left and right. Jason Ramshaw, Daryl, certainly well aware and wide awake to what they're doing.
Yeah, that's twice he's done that, John, since I mentioned it. The markers are going very quickly, so Jason letting them go and then went down the middle. But that way we only make 8-10 yards maximum. You know, we need to make a little bit more in these, open the game out a little bit. Not too much, but just enough away from the play of the ball.
Powell. Well, that should be a count back, Dale, because the Hull Kingston Rovers player certainly had hold of that ball, but Mr. Conley says no.
Well, no, John, because neither side had hold of it really, and he's done the right thing there. He's saying it was fifth tackle.
Fullback Gary Brown actually coming back onto the bench with a big, massive bag of ice around the ankle. Obviously twisted the ankle in the tackle on the halfway line following that run out, but very doubtful whether he's going to take any further part in this game as Rovers now come back downfield once more. 8 points to 0, Keighley in the lead, 18.5 minutes on the clock in the second half. And infield to Lum. Lum gets the ball away, misses out Flange. I think something's wrong with Flange because nobody will give him the ball. And Martin Wood doing the tackling there. Flange at acting half back, the only way he's managing to get the ball in this second half. Well, the first half for that matter. All being kept alive there. Des Harrison allowed to run away. And it's, oh, what a forward pass. My words, that were nearly into the next street, Daddle, it with that far forward.
Yeah, very far, John. Unfortunately, Mr. Conley was on station, he saw it straight away. You know, they should have done more of that, should OKR. They should have had 4 points out of that.
Robinson then from the base of the scrum. Powell stopped in his tracks there, and look at again Keighley are now beginning to expose this movement. Daryl, Robinson exposing them there was as the markers move left and right quickly. Interesting to see here.
No, they didn't go quite quick there, John, but now Keighley's seen it, they ought to be making a little bit more of it. They ought to be playing on it on the referee anyway, getting the referee told.
Ayers almost away there, and I don't think that's in the spirit of the game. It was certainly not going anywhere when the third man came and hit him. They're quite happy to allow things to continue, and Kenyon doing the chasing. And I think I can see, Darrell, now why Plange hasn't been getting the ball. He's just so lacking in being positive, isn't it?
Certainly is, John. Yeah, note about him there. He's looking for the ball now. It looks like he's going to run it out now. Let's see how far he goes. Yeah, he's doing there.
And ducked underneath it as well. Good tackle there by Andre Stoop on Plange, but from making almost a fatal error, he gets 50 metres upfield and allows Kingston Rovers to launch an attack into the Keighley half once more. And it's certainly scrambling defence time for Keighley at the moment. Well, Keighley being penalised there for being in an offside position. It looks like Mike Fletcher's going to go for goal, and if successful, it will bring Kingston Rovers back to within a try to level the scores. A converted try, of course. Keighley making a substitution. Shane Tupai coming off. Joe Buddy coming on. Fletcher then with the attempt, and waved down by the touch judges, so well, at least the ball went dead and Rovers will get the ball back, but that's not the sort of thing he needed to do there, Darrell, was it? He wanted 2 points desperately.
Yeah, they wanted the 2 there, John. Then they'd have come back downfield, chasing the 1 and then looking for the 6 for the winner. You know, Keighley's got to sort themselves out, get this defence right, and keep LKR in their own half.
Certainly on the short running, they're doing just that. But it's the odd one that's just piercing the defence, usually by ducking underneath the tackle, as Plange did. Lum gets the ball in field to Fletcher. Fletcher keeps it alive to Speckman, but he's tackled 10 metres inside the Keighley half. Chamberlain moving the ball away. Lum again at the centre of operations, trying to dictate play. There he is again, is the little scrum half of Kingston Rovers. He's certainly been at the centre of all their operations, ball handling operations, that is. Oh, and a good tackle there by Keighley, Simon Irvin. The kick through. That's not going to go as Robinson has to dive way back underneath the tackler to get in field. He does so. But, again, kicking for the Speedway corners. Certainly not as pronounced as those at Hodsall, but nonetheless there is a gradient on them that will slow the ball down considerably as it crosses. Ramshaw, Hunterbury, the substitute for Keighley, getting back to the 20-metre line before being put to ground. Diving round at the tackle from the marking position there by the Hull Kingston Rovers marker. And Martin Wood pumps the ball downfield over the top of the man in the full-back position. Standoff Crane it is, who's in the full-back and knocks on. Oh boy, did he need that one.
Martin Wood led the chase there, putting them all under pressure. Did the kick, led the chase, caused the fullback, who was standoff, fumble that ball there, took pressure.
Robinson then will feed this scrum 10 metres from that Hull Kingston Rovers line. Keighley desperately requiring a score from this position. A score which would probably stitch the game up as far as they're concerned. Nice ball there from Simon Irvin to Nick Pinkney. Pinkney being hurled to the ground eventually there, some 12 metres from the Rovers line. Not being allowed to get up, but referee Conley quite happy as Powell goes on the inside there from the acting half position as the Rovers defence came left. Robinson now, long ball out to Gately, but the eye's taken off the ball, and I think the knock-on going to be given. The first knock-on it will be. I think in fact Ian Gately there just looking to probably palm that ball onto the wing, Daryl. It came out so quickly to him.
Yeah, he probably lost it in the gloom and all, John.
Well, that's possible because it is very, very dark. These lights are appalling here to say that it's a relatively new stadium, but having said that, they're better than they were when we were here last season in the Cup, when Rovers were still in the First Division. They had to be better because they were never on, it was daylight. Martin Wood tackling there, 10 metres from the halfway line, still in the Hull Kingston Rovers half as the operator there. Oh, and what a tackle again by Simon Irving, doing the spotting well. And the ball kicked downfield. Andre Stoop, taken round the head. So Tim Lum puts his hands up in recognition of the fact that he was guilty, but I don't think there was any, well, certainly referee Connolly not bothering to have a word with Crane about it. Oh, sorry, Lum. Martin Wood then puts the ball into touch a couple of metres from the halfway line. Kenyon put the ball in there, and Burry it was who took the drive. Gets 10 metres inside the Hull Kingston Rovers half, and Mr. Connolly now been relaxing this 10 metres somewhat. There's still a bit bigger one there though. Certainly the one before had been relaxed. Cochrane. And it's Ramshaw onto Powell. Powell taking the play straight up the centre of the field. Well, I thought the ball had been stolen there. It was Daryl Powell's arm that came out of the tackle and pushed the ball back. Ramshaw going for a drop. Oh, it strikes the post. Anybody's is that one now. But certainly that's probably what Keighley need to do. Anywhere inside of the post, get the extra point and make Rovers do the chasing even more. .28 minutes of the second half gone. Keighley in the lead by 8 points to 0. All the points from loose forward Martin Wood. A try, a conversion, a penalty goal as Rovers again attack down the centre of the field. Last call. Doing the running with the ball, it's Fletcher who kicks the ball into the field, into the post. Andre Stoop doing the taking, and I'd have a question mark about that man being onside, Darrell. He certainly seemed to be well up there, and the ball was kicked infield from the wing.
Certainly did. John looked in front of the kicker there, but Mr. Connolly let it go, so you play on.
The second man was certainly onside, but the man who took Andre Stoop wasn't, and I think he's probably paid the price by injuring himself in the process. A bit forward there to Ian Gately, again allowed to continue by the referee. Ayers. There's the last tackle call just inside the keeper half. Ramshaw out then to Martin Wood. Pinkney protecting him. That ball bouncing back in field. Crane takes it. The keeper chasers are up in a line. And the Rovers defence are very, very lethargic in their efforts to get back. But get back they've done. The blood bin player just retaken this field as Des Harrison's come up being brought off. "12 metres from the halfway line. 10 minutes of this game left as Rovers are going from that acting half position. The ball lost. The referee didn't see what happened, looked to the touch judge on the far side who said everything was okay, there was no stealing. And Andy Ayres just readjusting his position as he decides to have a a run up towards the area where there's a bit of grass on the 10 out, and diving round there as Ramshaw goes from the acting half position and catches Lum for his trouble. Tim Lum very quickly in there to stop that Rovers player doing anything further, Darrell. Very professional of the Hull KR scrum half.
Yeah, keep your men away, John. Don't let him hit him twice. They definitely go then. Who is it? Who's gone? 15? Beckman, yeah. Yeah, he's giving the talking to. I'll stay on now with talking.
In fact, it looks as though Martin Wood is going to have another go at goal. And the referee calling out Tim Lum, I think. Lum, I think, been doing the right thing and going in to prevent anything further. And I think perhaps Mr. Connolly, Darrell, thinking that he might have just been doing a bit of running in and telling him to leave it away.
Yeah, it might have been, John. Oh, elbow is indicated. I don't really know what he said to Lum, but I thought Lum did the right thing.
So did I, but our opinion on Martin going for a penalty goal attempt there was wrong, as Keighley now run the ball into the Rovers 20 area. Darren Fleary, it is in possession, 15 metres out and about 10 to the side of the post. Joe Burris straightening things up with a positive run towards those posts. It's 5 now, wide open on the far side, but Keighley is stacked on this side, but the switch is on there to Powell. Out now to Nick Pinkney. Pinkney's going, is he going to stretch? No, he's held and dragged back a metre from the line, but certainly the Rovers defence was stretched on the right hand side, and Ramshaw is it in for the try. Jason Ramshaw taking advantage, Darrell. He's done this on numerous occasions as the markers have moved. The markers moved then and Jason saw it and went.
Yeah, I saw the gap, John, went for the line. Good try, it just shows it. Using a bit of nous, a bit of thinking. Pays dividends.
Well, that try now certainly putting Keighley firmly in the driving seat as the Hull Kingston Rovers supporters begin to stream out of this ground. Martin Wood with a conversion attempt, which metres on the 10-metre line as Martin Wood, confirmed by the touch judges, puts the scoreline for Keighley to 14 points, 2 tries, 3 goals, all by that man Wood. I beg your pardon. Sorry about that, Jason. Getting carried away just a little bit. Giving Martin a bit too much credit there. It's the excitement of this Ganter here at Hull KR that causes it. Plunge infield ball to Fletcher. Fletcher doing well to hang on to that ball as Rovers launch an attack. A similar sort of a position, in fact, to what we saw last year as they go across to the corner. But into touch, there's not sufficient room to work in that pass on that far side. But the pressure of the gantry here at Hull Kingston Rovers getting to us all. My words, the loose forward Dearlove certainly broke away from the scrum very quickly, and also gave Andy Ayres a fair old crack around the head to boot. Martin Wood, this time he too exposing that quick movement off the mark by those defenders, and Hull Kingston Rovers scored offside, causing the wedging of the play back onto the far side of the field, wedging Keighley over to the far side and restricting their attacking potential. So then Martin Wood with the penalty touch finder, right, well, I would say right on the halfway line, but just a couple of yards in from the halfway line. Darren Fleary taking play into the Hull Kingston half of the field. Joe Burry again straightening things up, driving positively towards that defence. Phil Larder taking up position on the Rovers try line as Ian Gately bursts up that touchline, gets the ball out and releases in the tackle back to Robinson, but Robinson wrapped up on that 20-metre line, a couple of metres in from touch. A good breakdown there by Gately, and Gately doing the passing into Ramshaw. Darryl Powell struggling away from the would-be tackler but can't release the ball. Ramshaw, Martin Wood again through the centre of the field, exposing this Rovers defence now at will. Robinson still taking play up the centre. The last one called. Looks like the drop goal coming here, but no, Jason Ramshaw elects to do a footballing job. Did it reasonably well as also, but not able to console it to and over the try line. Rovers releasing the ball in the tackle, and they're two now driving down the centre. Wingman Charlesworth in support, but didn't get the ball. The Cougar cry goes up again as the ball lost in the tackle. Keighley it is at 3, gathered it, and in fact I think that Hull Kingston player is going to be reported to the touch judge, Mike Fletcher. Dropping with the knees after the tackle had been made. Didn't quite hear who the man of the match for Hull Kingston Rovers was announced as, but certainly didn't seem to go down very well with their supporters. Ramshaw onto Gately. Gately driving in 15 metres from the Rovers line. Ramshaw acting halfback. Waits patiently for the big fella to get onto his feet as Burry takes play inside that Rovers 10-metre area. Ramshaw to Robinson. Robinson goes almost through a gap there that just shut. Ramshaw onto Powell. Long ball out to Martin Wood. He finds Nick Pinkney. Pinkney back to Wood. Wood juggles but secures the ball. Are we looking for a drop goal? No, we're not. We're still looking for the points as Cochrane goes in. 5 metres from the line. Last tackle called by Mr. Connolly. And Ramshaw. Out there is... Oh, and desperation tackling there by Hull Kingston Rovers, preventing a further Keighley score. Darryl Powell it was who was almost through the gap. 14 points to 0, the scoreline reading 1.5 minutes of normal time left. The game certainly in the bag as far as Keighley are concerned, barring an absolute miracle. And Lumby, much the architect of all that Hull Kingston Rovers have done in the game, now despairing, and that in spite of all his efforts and graft, the scoreline at the moment still without anything on the board for Hull Kingston Rovers. Simon Irvine in the meantime penalised for not having made the 10, and Keighley still backpedaling as Fletcher comes forward 25 metres from the Keighley line. Infield now to Harrison. Chris Harrison though tackled on that Keighley 20 inside the last 30 seconds of the 80 minutes. Speckman. And there comes Lum. Lum's going to get... Well, that's... I have to say, Darryl, that's just desserts for Tim Lum. He's worked very, very hard for Hull Kingston Rovers. Fully deserves that try.
Certainly does, John, yeah. It's been their man of the match, outstanding. It's badgered them all to play all night. Excellent try, that.
I fear it's all too late for Hull Kingston Rovers. That try coming just on the 80-minute mark. But certainly given them respectability on the scoreline at 14 points to 4 at the moment, looking at 6. Through the middle. So then, well into stoppage time now. Keighley leading by 14 points to 6 here at New Craven Park. The scoreline being made by a Martin Wood try, 3 Martin Wood goals and a Jason Ramshaw try, and that try there for Tim Lum just a moment ago, as you saw, converted by Mike Fletcher. Almost to the final scoreline now as the scoreline, I would say that, as Martin Wood restarts. Lum gets the ball, gives it to one of his forwards to drive out. There was a bit of stoppage time. But there goes the final hooter. In fact, the cheers from the crowd in the stand at the far side tells it all. They've had a long trip across here tonight to New Craven Park. They've come across in the numbers on the motorway. They'll be going away happy, at least happy from the point of view they've got the 2 points. It's 2 points nearer the championship. Let's hope some common sense prevails at Chapeltown Road about the Super League. We can only hope, we can only wait and see, but Keighley march on towards that championship title. 2 to go, but certainly 2 wins required if it's going to be theirs. Final score here at New Craven Park: Keighley Cougars 14, Hull Kingston Rovers 6.